Good evening, Mr. Venkatraman, colleagues on the dais, and ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Yes. First, I should thank CII for giving this opportunity to talk from the pharmaceutical perspective. Like you spoke about recession and all other things. This is one industry which normally doesn't see a recession because finally what happens, people need medicines to eat when they fall ill. And this industry has been seeing a growth globally also around 4 to 5% on an average, and is expected to continue on that level. Now let me give you some stats about India. India as a pharmaceutical, it's one of the biggest, one of the 6 top global pharmaceutical producing company in the world. But if you look at the India as consuming drug for the pharmaceutical, it's around $15 billion. And this has been actually growing around 5 to 6% in the early part of 2000s. And now it's going around 9-10, and it's going, is expected to go in teens, either 14-15% in future. But if you compare India, which is around $15 billion as revenue, but if you compare the same thing with the drugs, the top drug in the world, Humira, is around $12 billion. And India is, as a market share size, is around 15. So that's how India is. It's one of the lowest low-cost manufacturers of pharmaceutical drugs in the world. And that is the reason why the exports from India is around $15 billion. And it is like Mr. Rajan had talked about the CAGR here. The pharmaceutical industry's exports have been growing around 21% for the last 10 years. That's a growth potential what this pharmaceutical industry has. And this is expected to grow bigger because today, till the recent past, India was normally exporting the basic APIs, which is the raw material part for the formulation, finished dosage. Then it got into finished dosages, which was generic. But nowadays, it has also stepped into high end of the specialty drugs, which is normally 25% of the world market is on specialty drugs. And this was a domain of the MNCs in the world. Now India has started contributing into that also. So there's a lot of maturity of Indian pharmaceutical industry, and it's, if you look at by size, it's the 3rd largest in the world by volume, and it's around 13th in by value. So that's how, as a manufacturing company, and if you look at the number of the manufacturing units what we have, it has got around more than 500 manufacturing units which is registered with the US FDA. And all of you know that is one of the most strict regulatory in the world, and we have the highest number of manufacturing units outside US. So that's a potential what India has. So if you look at each area, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's R&D, or any other area, other aspects, support services, India has been in the forefront of pharmaceutical industry. So if you look at why Indian pharmaceutical is, people come to India because there are a lot of MNCs. If you look at from last 20-30 years, a lot of MNCs have started setting up shop in India. There are, if you look at, there are 870 multinationals who have set up the R&D operations. You have significant number of MNCs who have their manufacturing in India. They also have acquisitions in India. The reason is, one, the cost. The cost of manufacturing in India is almost 30 to 40% of what we can manufacture in the Western. So that advantage is there. And it's not because we are underpricing the product, but basically because the efficiency, the cost of setting up a facility in India is very low comparatively to the West. The skill what we have, it is very easy in India to have an English-speaking person, which is not, you don't have it in any other places, whether you go to the Eastern Europe or you go to China, which is a big advantage when you actually talk to the regulators. Because understanding the regulations, talking to the regulators, Earlier, the regulators used to just come and talk to the quality people and go. Today, the regulator go and talk to the app operation guys, the person who's really doing the job, and they need to talk back in English. And this is a skill set which India is abundant with. So this helps Indian pharmaceutical company to be in forefront and be able to meet the regulatory requirement. So as I said, our R&D is in forefront. Just to give one statistics, this is one California Biomedical Research Association had given this. Out of, if you take around 5,000 drugs which are being developed, only out of which 5 sees clinical trials. That is proving that that's safe and effective. Out of which, that is 0.10% of the drugs which starts go to that journey.